So the Heat have been secretly good. You know, the Heat are one of the teams which no one has been viewing a lot lately. Everyone's so focused on the trade deadline moves of the Mavs, you know, what's happening with the Lakers you know, and what's going to be the Celtics' final record, that no one's been really focused on the Heat as a team. Right now, they've climbed to the sixth seed in the East, being one of the better teams in in the conference. If you guys hear me stop the video, I'm sneezing right now, so I'm sorry, but I don't want to get that on the microphone. Neither do I want to, have that in the video. It would be annoying, that loud sound. So I'm just gonna pause it whenever I'm gonna sneeze. So the Heat have been on top of the world basically because after losing last year the finals, they've actually come back this year and looked better than what they did last season. This is due, and the Heat have looked pretty good. If you guys didn't know, they did have some suspensions due to the fact that they had a scuffle, I'm pretty sure, with the Kings. And yesterday they faced the Kings again and they won. It was a pretty good win. The Heat looked pretty good. And the biggest things about their win was their confidence on offense. As we know, the Heat have always had this problem with their offensive confidence. The reason why is because they normally will prefer to just go and give up the ball than actually take a shot themselves. You see, they're the opposite of a team like the Kings, because the Kings are like everybody just wants to shoot it, score it, take it to the rim, or do something with it. And that team drives itself with a lot of confidence, and I'm talking about the Sacramento Kings. With the Heat, it's a completely different story. They're a team which a lot of their guys, don't really have that just confidence to go with it. A guy who does is Duncan Robinson. That dude really does have that confidence. He'll take a lot of shots. He'll make a lot of them. And a guy like Jaime Jaquez has also shown that kind of level of confidence, especially recently with the increased role that he's had after the suspensions in his team. So when it comes to these things and when it comes to these factors, what we need to know is which players from the Heat can actually contribute to winning a championship and why are the Heat good. Well, first, I do want to say they have one of the best coaches in the NBA. Eric Spoelstra is obviously one of the greatest defensive coaches, but apart from that, he's also a great player, handler. With the Heat impulsing their guys to be basically on 10 always and always be on their A game, they need a coach which is just tough, which knows how to tell players their everything clearly, and which can really put people in their place, and that's Spoelstra. Spoelstra is amazing, and he's been one of those guys where it's just like he stands on his business 100% always. He's not taking disrespect, he's not taking BS, and he's not afraid to tell his players if they're doing something wrong, which is something that the Miami Heat stand for. As we know, this has even caused some battles, as like Jimmy Butler has almost fought Spoelstra in occasions due to this fact. Now, and with this, the Heat have become one of the best teams of all time, basically. They have a great culture, they have a great system, but we have had some, problems as a team due to the fact that, by the way, I am a Heat fan. We have had some problems with just maintaining the players together and keeping everything in check. I will say that the Heat are a very good team right now, and especially with the addition of Jaime Jaquez Jr., they've become much better. Jaime Jaquez is the newest addition to the Heat. He plays like small forward, power forward. Sometimes he could even play shooting guard. And he's just a guy who's willing to do anything for the team. As we saw yesterday, he ran up like 10 straight points with like 2 threes and 2 layups just in the third quarter to give Miami a very sizable lead, because he's one of those guys that just plays with extreme confidence and is always ready. He's been extremely effective to the offense and has made it much better for the team, as he has given the Miami Heat another option to go to when they don't have, offense quickly. He's confident, he's good, and he maintains himself cool even in tough situations. He has been a game changer for the Heat. And then you have other guys who have started to play really well consistently. I want to say that Kevin Love has been one of those guys that has just really shined in his role, hitting threes, playing defense, rebounding, just being a overall generally amazing big man. I will say that for his age, he has become one of the better players in his, life, as he has just been able to maintain himself super effective and still as one of the best players in the league, even through him obviously declining, right? Then you have a guy like Hayward Highsmith, just an absolute defensive presence, can hit threes, can make layups, can dunk. He's just there for hustle. He's there to do a lot of the dirty work. Then you have Caleb Martin, right? Caleb has been an absolute menace for the Heat as he has won them playoff games. Game sevens, he's been the best player in game sevens, like the one against the Celtics last year. And he's just been an extremely good player who has been able to really adapt himself to any environment and show that you can win with him on the court. After that, obviously, you have Duncan Robinson. I spoke on him, always ready, three-point shooter, just extremely effective. And then you have a few other guys, like, which are the stars, which are Tyler Hero, obviously the shooter, the scorer, right? Then you have Jimmy Butler, the superstar, the clutch time, and then Bam, which is just the consistency of the team. As Bam, it could be the world is ending, but Bam is going to be there, getting his 20 and 10 every single game, just like he always does, right? Because he's that consistent. So, when it comes to the league, and when it comes to the Miami Heat, what we have to ask now is, can you make it back to the finals? And if you can, then what would be your path there? They're the 6th seed right now, which means that they're in the playoffs without having to participate in the play, right? Which is good, right? Because that means that they go unscathed. But that would also mean that they have to face the 3rd seed, right? The Celtics would face whoever the 8th seed is, the Cavaliers would have to face whoever the 7th seed is, and the Bucks would have to face the Heat. Now, we've seen the Bucks and Heat. If it goes like last year, right, then okay, the Heat will win. Definitely a tough series, but the Bucks have Dame this year, so I don't know what's gonna happen. But let's say the Heat win because they beat the Bucks last year. Let's say it's another choke job by Giannis and the Bucks, and then they carry on to the next round. Well, that would have been, let's say the Celtics, let's say all the top teams are winning, right? The Celtics won, the Cavaliers won, right? The Knicks beat the Sixers, let's say. No, let's say the Sixers beat the Knicks, and then the Heat beat the Bucks, okay, right? So then they would probably have to face, in that same order, they would probably have to go and either face the Cavaliers or the Celtics, right? Probably the Cavs. So if they face the Cavs, they could definitely beat the Cavs. The Cavs are amazing, but the Cavs are a team which are not experienced, and especially with their playoff choke last season, right? You could definitely assume that they're going to choke, or at least that it's going to be harder for them in the playoffs than it's being in the regular season. Finally, when they get to the Eastern Conference Championship, as assuming that the Celtics are there and they're the ones standing and that the 76ers did not win, or the Knicks did not win, that would mean that they would have to go up against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. Here is where I would think their season would end. I do think that the Celtics and the Heat have been an amazing rivalry. The Heat have definitely got them a few times, and it's definitely been very tough. But when it comes to this Celtics team, they're just completely new. They have Kristaps now, they have Drew Holiday, they have 5 options at all times, and they're not the same team. They're 45-12. I think that that would be the ending for the Heat. Coming from a Heat fan, I never like to admit that, but I do think that that Celtics team is kind of a cheat code. And even though, yes, it is going to be very hard to maintain a team of this level for the next few seasons, it will also be very satisfactory if this team can actually win. So yeah, I do think that the Heat have a chance of making it deep into the playoffs. They have a chance of making something happen. They just have to go win some games and keep themselves special. I love my Heats. You know what it is.